Hello everyone, this is Crota coming at you, giving you game 1 in a 2-game set here on Ancient Isle 2. This is going to be ColorFul versus Anxi, the Undead player here. You see ColorFul spawning as the blue Undead on the bottom right-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, on the top left, we see Anxi spawning as the red Undead. Undead versus Night Elf, a matchup that we seem to be seeing a lot of as of late. I guess the Chinese human players have recently fell off over the last year or so. Tho, Yumiko, their presence is really missed, but it's really allowed other players and other strategies in the meta to significantly change. Now, as things get underway, I am going to speed things up just a bit to get things up to the 2-minute mark. And I wanted to always address some comments that are on my channel, just because I know I don't take the actual time to comment on all of the comments on my channel during work. So some people were wondering, how come I don't respond to every single comment on my channel? And well, the reason is I just really don't have the time. Also, if you guys are following me regularly, you guys know that I do address any comments and concerns that are on my channel, and I do that fairly often. So it's a way to allow me to go ahead and address comments that are left behind at my own pace. And that way I also don't feel obligated that I always have to address comments, as we're going to be looking at the Demon Hunter picking up a Circlet of Nobility here. You got to be honest, if I did address every comment that was on my channel, I think a lot of other people out there would feel obligated that I constantly address other people. So that's something that I don't want to do, and hence the reasoning there. All right, Death Knight getting off a long distance death coil here, and now gonna go ahead and execute a surround here. The Ogre Magi being left behind a little bit. Interesting choice, as the Ogre Warrior now taking a little bit of damage. You can see that Wisp is really trying to get off a detonation, but the skeletal minions are in just a way, so that one detonation can only take down one skeletal minion. Also, because Anxi was able to get one hit off on a ghoul, he was then able to deny or use a death coil to take down that Wisp. However, the Anxi's Death Knight now taking a fair bit of damage. He's going to be in a little bit of trouble. There's the level 2, and the Death Knight able to get away with a little bit of experience. However, the Demon Hunter now able to pick up a Gloves of Haste. A nice item for that Demon Hunter now, as he's going to be going after those ghouls. Alright, so both sides getting to level 2. Death Knight now standing on Blight with Unholy Aura, and that is a real ticket for safety, as the Death Knight should be significantly faster. I can't believe the Death Knight actually allowed himself to take that much damage from that Demon Hunter just simply running by. A Mana Burn could perhaps take him down, but the Death Knight now running around in circles will be able to get back on that Blight and really not have that many concerns. If the Death Knight had perhaps run into the back position off over here, he would have been in a great spot. Instead, now down to sub 100 hit points for the second time this game, but with the help of Blight and Unholy Aura, should be able to get back into the swing of things. Death Knight now venturing off to the top right. I can't imagine that he's actually going to be... No, he is going for this creep camp here, and this is rather dangerous. The Null Warden and all the ground units are going after the the Demon Hunter here. Meanwhile, I believe a Troll Shadow Priest needs to be brought out and heal that Archer. The Archer is taking significant damage, and as long as he can constantly heal that Archer, he should be fine. So yes, enough piercing damage to finish off the top there. 3 Archers, 1 Troll Berserker, finishing it off there, getting True Shot Aura, a nice item considering the current mix of units that the Night Elf currently has. Now, we all know that the Undead generally are weaker in the early games, but that is normally the case in, say, against a human. Oftentimes, the Undead player will go for mass ghouls and try to put pressure on the Night Elf base. However, because he has such a low hit point Death Knight, he doesn't want to try and venture forth into his opponent's base. If he does that, he'll probably end up losing the Death Knight and then falling even further behind. At this rate, he can still gain a little bit of experience, get to perhaps level 3, and with the Pure Up of Vitality, he's going to have a decent number of hit points contrary to what you are currently looking at on the Death Knight. If you take a look at the Death Knight, a level 3 Death Knight with that many hit points shouldn't be above 200 hit points at all, but instead he's actually sitting at 250 and still regenerating rather nicely. And then he decides to sell that Pure Up to Vitality and instead pick up a Staff of Teleportation. I don't know why, since he would normally have about 300 hit points now. No, he wants to put off pressure. Meanwhile, a Panda now picked up by the Night Elf. Panda, a very, very strong hero, able to use Breath of Fire to counteract any of those mass ghouls. And now you can see that the Death Knight is actually in a very, very bad spot. Gonna run into a Panda. The Panda, oh, unable to get in front. He actually misstepped there, and Anxi dodged a bullet. If the Demon Hunter was able to get off one more hit, Breath of Fire from that Panda, that Death Knight would have been gone. He has Unholy Aura, but no, I take that back. The reason why he is so fast is because he got Unholy Aura level 2 over Death Coil level 2. Now, this is rather strange. However, it did give him a slight movement speed boost, and it does allow him to regenerate even faster while off of Blight, but I don't quite know if it's really worth the 400 hit point heal or the 200 hit point nuke. That's all going to be a question to answer a bit later, as we are now teching the Black Citadel. I believe the Lich should be starting its training in just a little bit, and the Death Knight is going to see what he doesn't want to see, which is a whole bunch of creep camps already crept out. Death Knight now venturing forth, trying to take down some of these units. Instead, going to get a free Ancient of War. Breath of Fire does get some damage onto the Death Knight here. As we take a look, gargoyles and ghouls, a very interesting choice of hero combination, as the Demon Hunter gets off another mana burn there. All right, let's take a look at the Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter, as you can see, does not have an Orb of Venom as of yet. Once he does grab that Orb of Venom, though, those gargoyles are not going to have a very good day at all. Damage over time, in addition to the relatively high damage on that Demon Hunter, can cause a bit of problems, but that Demon Hunter is just absorbing that damage from those gargoyles like it is pretty much nothing. Back over here, Panda now making its rounds. We can take a look. Still no Lich, still no second hero as of yet, as the Demon Hunter sitting at maximum mana, still looking very, very comfortable in the upcoming fights. Dryads being added. Let's take a look. You see a Goblin Shredder off over here. That Goblin Shredder could take a lot of damage quickly. You can see already down to 400 hit points. And if this Goblin Shredder goes, there's still a good amount of lumber to be had, as the Goblin Shredder now makes its way off to the north. Tree of Life still not done here, as the Death Knight escorting a couple of gargoyles back to the bottom. There goes another Wisp, and the Death Knight has to be very, very careful, though. The Death Knight very low on hit points, could go after a Dryad. Dryad taking a little bit of more damage than it should, will be able to get away, as the Ancient of Lore gets in one quick shot on that Death Knight. All right, the Wisp. Oh, what is this? We're going to have a little bit of a strange spot. Oh, the Demon Hunter ignores the Death Knight. Interesting spot, as we now see that the Demon Hunter, I thought he had the Orb of Venom. It looked like he was attacking something in the air, but that is not the case. Meanwhile, the Death Knight still running around in circles. He still doesn't have anything, a second hero yet, and we are now just going into a Boneyard, so straight into Frostworms. So skipping the Abominations, skipping the Obsidian statues, instead going straight into a Boneyard for Frostworms, and the Frostworms are not going to be that effective against the Dryads or the Archers. The Dryads in particular, very strong against a Frostworm there, so not really sure what to make of this. On top of that, the Demon Hunter now has that Orb of Venom, and without level 2 Death Coil, and even with level 2 Death Coil, the Death Knight is not going to be able to keep up the Frostworms that long because of that level 2 mana burn. Panda sitting at level 2, still looking very strong here, and I think things are going well for ColorFul. ColorFul is in a very good spot here. If he can hold on to this expansion and continue with this fight, he is going to be just absolute smooth sailing. The way things are going, things are going to start to unravel for Anxi very, very quickly. Gargoyles, not that useful. Maybe, perhaps, if you're going up against a lot of of Dryads only, but I don't see what else is going to be happening, or Huntresses. But with the amount of Breath of Fire and also the Orb of Venom on that Demon Hunter, those relatively low hit point Gargoyles, the 410 hit point Gargoyles and the 340 hit point Ghouls are just going to absolutely fall apart. Red Drake going to fall apart very, very quickly. You see now level 4 on the Death Knight. Death Knight now moving around, well, not that much faster, but does have a level 2 Death Coil to help keep these units alive. Picking up a Tome of Strength as well. No, oh no, no, don't leave behind a Tome of Strength. Leaving behind a Tome of Strength +2. Apparently he doesn't like 50 hit points or extra damage on the Death Knight or better regeneration. Don't ask me why. Back over here, you can see that the Panda is taking his time creeping with the rest of the army, and this is exactly what normally an Undead player should be doing. Using one hero to harass while another hero is out creeping. Instead, the Demon Hunter has been able to play the role of harasser, getting almost to level 4 while getting a Panda to level 3. Level 2 Breath of Fire is definitely going to play now, as the Gargoyles and Ghouls do tend to stack up on top of each other. Down over here, let's take a look. The amount of experience being gathered up by the Undead, or excuse me, by the Night Elf is now very scary. Almost a level 4 Demon Hunter, as we're now going to see a little bit of an engagement here. All right, Death Knight, it now does have an Orb of Corruption, so that -5 armor coming in for that Death Knight. And what's interesting is the fact that there is still not a second hero. Meanwhile, Panda still doing a little bit more creeping here. It looks like that reveal is that reveal is from the Night Elf player, making sure that there is no shade. There are, however, 3 Frostworms. Okay, so a completely unconventional 3 Frostworm opening to try and take down these units. All right, Demon Hunter now trying to fight back. It looks like, yes, the Demon Hunter will get taken down. And all of a sudden, Book of the Dead now being used. No destroyers, however, so without destroyers, those that Book of the Dead is going to stay around and stay in play. Normally, Book of the Dead is almost an auto win for the Undead, as they're able to just devour magic and get even more. We are taking a look at a whole bunch of damage being absorbed by the Gargoyles. As I mentioned earlier, the Book of the Dead, perhaps the thing that is keeping the Night Elf in this, as we're looking at a level 5 Death Knight. All of a sudden, things are turned around, and let's take a look at this. Is this Frostworm going to be able to get away? Frostworm purposely sitting in that spot, needs to not do anything, perhaps hold position, and that is it. And the Death Knight going after a couple of skeletal minions, deciding to walk back once more, perhaps get a Death Coil. Wait, did we lose that? No, we did not lose that unit. There's a Death Coil, 600 hit point heal, all of a sudden back. All right, let's take a look. We are at 43 over 60 compared to 36 over 60. So, yes, there was a good amount of death on both sides, but the expansion for the Night Elf is going to allow ColorFul to come back faster. 54 over 60 supply, training up more Dryads. Frostworms being added, not that many units. I'm sorry. F11, 34 over 60 compared to 54 over 60. That is still not going to be in a good spot, as the Death Knight, yes, did get to level 5. Yes, did in fact take down the Demon Hunter. But that is not going to be enough unless the Death Knight gets to level 6. The Death Knight, even at level 6, though, is not that big of a threat. You could get perhaps level 3 Unholy Aura or Death Pact. It's really not that useful of an ability, as we're now looking at the Tree of Life. Tree of Life taking a lot of damage. Death Coil now coming in. All the units are now going to be backing off here, trying to take down some of those units, and this is why you need destroyers. All of a sudden, units taking a lot of damage. Demon Hunter comes in, gets some easy damage onto a Frostworm. That Frostworm, slow poison damage over time. So much piercing. There is a Death Coil to try and save it, and it looks like it will be saved once more, as the Frostworm, smarter than he looks, able to jump to the skies above the trees and now out of sight. All right, Dryads upgraded 3-0, something that you do not see very often. Meanwhile, the Frostworm only upgraded 1-0, and I think that is pretty much going to be it. Demon Hunter is right there. Demon Hunter sitting at level 4. Death Knight sitting at level 5. All the units are running around a 71-point mana burn, leaving no more healing on that Frostworm, and deviating from that initial Ghoul Rush ended up giving the Night Elf player the opportunity to set up an expansion, get a gold advantage, and that is pretty much going to be it. All right, there is the GG. Anxi Undead losing game 1 in the set against ColorFul. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 1. Please stay tuned for game 2.